Hey guys, welcome to Console Kids Podcast here every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. I am renewing for 2023. We're going to have a lot of fun in the 2023 podcast episodes. Also going to start doing some more upload of content in 2023. I have some goals, not necessarily YouTube goals, but goals for personal goals, like what software I'm going to use for my editing. I'm going to change that up because I like learning. But anyway, let's get to some fun topics for this weekend podcast. Now, I also have been doing a stream every Wednesday. I've been pretty regular in that. I've missed a few because I've been sick, but I plan on doing that as well. So next game room tour should be this Wednesday, pretty sure this Wednesday, late at night. Just send me your game rooms. I have a couple, but I need a few more if we want to have a fun show. So you can always email me at consolekids@gmail.com if you want to be a part of that show on Wednesday. The first topic I want to talk about tonight is a pretty exciting one in the sense that a lot of people are talking about the news about Killer Instinct Pro. It's starting to show up at people's homes. And so yesterday I did a live stream with a guy named Brandon who got us a first look at that Killer Instinct Pro. Now I'm going to talk about the things that I've been talking to my friends about in this topic. And I've said some things incorrect to my friends. I don't think I've ever said it publicly, but I'm going to talk about that, kind of go through that journey. Now, if you don't know about it, Arcade1UP announced the Killer Instinct Pro almost a year ago. At the same time, they announced Killer Instinct Standard Edition, but we didn't get the Killer Instinct Pro for a very, very long time. And Arcade1UP made a ton of mistakes in 2022, like the way they priced these different cabinets, the way they discounted the cabinets, and that's caused a lot of frustration in the community. And so there's some people that are somewhat divided on this Killer Instinct Pro conversation. And I fully respect that. I totally understand there's some people that are very, very excited about the Killer Instinct Pro, and some people are not. Or some people bought the Killer Instinct Standard at a deep discount, and they're very satisfied with their purchase. But I'd love to hear what you have to say about Killer Instinct Pro, the conversations that you've been having with your friends in the community. Bring it up here, and I'd love to see you in the chat. And we'll just type in KI and then your thoughts afterwards, and then I'll read that in just a bit. So I'm going to show you what we've been talking about, kind of give you an overview of everything that's been going on in my head about this. So the Killer Instinct Pro, this is an example of it. On the left, you're going to see the Killer Instinct Standard. On the right, it's the Pro version. You can see it's bigger, right? So you move on, you can see that it's got a 19-inch screen. It's larger. Visibly, right on this picture, you can see that the marquee on the left is a little bit better, but I'm questioned whether or not it's the best quality it could be, but it's hard to tell through some of these pictures. But on the right-hand side, the Standard Edition, some people, I don't have either of these cabinets, but it's been reported that the Killer Instinct marquee, because it's got that black, it doesn't always have like that rich marquee. But according to Brandon, the marquee on the Killer Instinct is much better. So this is going to come with HAP controls. Now, this is interesting because Killer Instinct is the very first arcade that by the time, at least as far as we know, by the time these were shipped to customers, they're sold out now. Like they sold 400 or 500 of these units. They were limited edition. So if you're interested in Killer Instinct Pro, my understanding is they're not available anymore. But what we do know is they're going to make more Pro versions in the future. A general question is, I would love to know, is that what people want these days? Because on my channel, or even on 1UP Weekly when I did a podcast with Retro Ralph, we talked about this Pro line for a very long time. And it's an interesting topic because I remember years ago, we were begging Arcade1UP to come out with these higher quality machines that would have basically everything that we asked for is in this machine. But we didn't know is over the next couple of years, the market would shift. We didn't know there would be this lockdown, this recession now, and times are tough. And we didn't know it was going to be $1,000 for this Pro unit. Some people are satisfied with that price and some people are not. It's definitely an interesting topic. The question I have in general is the Pro what we need now? I feel as though when we were talking about the Pro almost 2 years ago in that previous podcast, the Pro was something that we wanted then. And now with that $1,000 price, and we're seeing all of these different type of models of cabinets come out, and I think there's even more different types of shapes and sizes coming out. The question is the Pro what we want or what we need now? with these prices being so high. It does come with a lot of interesting things, like a light-up marquee that looks really nice. The chrome looks better than I thought it was going to be. It's got a BOE IPS monitor. According to the specs, it looks like it's an IPS monitor. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. I did a little bit of research trying to understand, like, what is the quality of this monitor exactly. I learned I need to educate myself a little bit more on how this all works. It has a coin door that you can actually press the buttons that light up. We learned in that live stream exactly what that looks like. There's actually another ribbon cable coming out of the control deck that powers it's like a smaller ribbon cable, and it powers the lights and also acts as a player 1, player 2 button. That's pretty cool. It comes with HAP buttons and HAP sticks. All those people are complaining that it's clicky, and really good HAP sticks don't click. So there's some frustration about that, saying that they're HAP, but they're not IL HAP, and so they wish they were the higher quality or micro switches that were more like Leaf and don't click as much, and they feel like Arcade1UP may have cheapened out on that. We got a look of what the speaker looks like. We know that the speakers are now in a container, and there's an amp behind there. That we didn't know before. And we also found out, let's go through there. 276 was one of the interesting things that came out recently. A ton of people picked up the Killer Instinct Standard Edition for only $278. I'm sorry, for $278 because of the discount code. And a lot of people are really happy with that price. And then other people bought the Pro for $1,000, and we're kind of frustrated that there's two versions with so mass price differences. And then we got Code Mystics, which is a company that does the development for some of the games for Arcade1UP. They released a new update for Killer Instinct the last couple weeks. That's pretty exciting. It's this idea that you can put your quarters on the glass. You can actually do tournaments. You can wait in line. You can play other people while you're waiting in line to play a match. Really cool. I'm really excited to see how that's going to work out. That feature is in beta right now. I'm looking forward to some live streams where people take advantage of that feature, do some Killer Instinct online tournaments. The future of the community playing these games online, I think, it's going to be pretty bright when, if for example, Code Mystics gets a contract with Arcade1UP to do this on, say, Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter 2, some of these bigger titles from Arcade1UP, that could be really exciting. I think that's a great way for Arcade1UP to give back to the community, to pay Code Mystics. I think we should hashtag pay Code Mystics to get these features across as many. Maybe it's a service that they can license, that maybe Code Mystics can integrate that on some of those other machines that were not emulated by Code Mystics. That would be really cool, because this idea that you can, kind of wait in line to play against other people, an upgraded lobby system, I would say. That's pretty exciting. One of the things that wasn't very exciting is I think no one really expected this to be great, but it's the anti-fatigue mat, and now we've seen real pictures of it in customers' homes. And one of the things that people were frustrated with, even when this was originally announced, is like this anti-fatigue mat that you could stand on goes right in front of the cabinet. So yes, it makes sense that it stands right in front of the cabinet. Maybe Arcade1UP figured you would have one in front of every cabinet, but some people are like, no, it should have been more horizontal. The logos should have been horizontal, so then two people can stand in front of the cabinet. It's almost as if they're trying to make it where you're going to have to like own many of these for it to actually be useful. And Brandon pointed out in his video when we were talking with him that he's already got solutions for, he's got this carpet that he really enjoys. So it's $1,000. Could they have saved some money on, removing some of these features from the cabinet? I think a lot of people would have liked a lower price. I do want to mention there's a lot of people that are, on the contrary, very excited about Sabo Arcade. This is not sponsored. Maybe it sounds like it is for a second, but we're on this topic of Killer Instinct, and I was doing a search on Facebook, and here it is, his beautiful marquee. I wanted to mention this for those that, obviously it shouldn't be the case that if you want a better marquee, you have to upgrade it. It should be that Arcade1UP comes out with that, but the fact is they don't. So it looks like the Killer Instinct Pro has a better marquee, but if you're looking to upgrade the standard Killer Instinct one because you want it to look a little bit better, there's a number of companies that make these upgrade kits, and Sabo's seems to be the one has been claimed to be the highest quality. I don't own any of this stuff, but I've seen plenty of his pictures to know that it's pretty fantastic. Let's see. We also learned about the HDMI port is on this new Pro line. Of course, this would be really cool if Arcade1UP released this on all of their $500 cabinets that have the ability to do online play. Not everyone's going to use it, but I think it would be a really cool feature where, especially if you're streaming online, these tournaments, you can just plug that HDMI into a capture card and then stream to the internet. Yeah, not everyone's going to use it, so I totally understand. Also, it'd be cool if they could figure out a way. Also, I don't really know if... I'd love to take a look at the inside of this Killer Instinct PCB, because the part itself for the HDMI is probably not that much money. And if it's using the same chipset as the standard cabinets that we have, then why are they chipping out on a small part? Anyway, what I'm trying to say is the actual chip that's inside the Arcade1UPs, it supports HDMI natively. Many of them do. I don't know if to get this integrated, they had to use like some type of daughter board. It could be. One thing that I can tell that's interesting is how the HDMI port is very close to the back of it. So I think it's mounted directly on the board. So I don't think it's a daughter board. So it's probably circuits going right into the SoC, and it's probably in mirror mode. So it's just outputting the same thing as it does to the LVDS that goes to the monitor. So why not? Why not just add that to all the cabinets? I'm really curious about how much it actually costs more. The other thing I've been talking to my friends about is this idea about 19-inch IPS LCD. Now, this is a picture directly on the Arcade1UP's website. In the description of the Pro, it says it's an IPS monitor. And so I got really curious when Brandon on the stream yesterday was like, hey, here's a picture of what the monitor looks like. And so I took a screenshot of that and I went and looked it up. Now, this next part is kind of interesting because I don't really know. I'm not like 110% confident in everything that I'm saying. I don't know every detail about every piece of electronic equipment, but this is me explaining what I do understand. Because I was telling my friends, I was like, I don't think it's an IPS monitor. Shame on Arcade1UP. They screwed up. They're selling us, a Pro model, and it's not IPS. And I think I'm wrong. I think it is IPS. Doing a little bit more research, and I'll share exactly what I know. And if you are an expert on display monitors with TN and VA and TFT and BOE and AOU and IPS, if you understand every acronym I just said, 1920 by 1080 and 1980 by 1024 and 1280 by 960. If that all makes sense to you, comment down below and let me know if I got off on any of these things I'm about to say. Because the question is the 19-inch BOE that are in the Pro models actually IPS? And if it's not, they said it's IPS. Why isn't it actually IPS? Anyway, this is the research that I did. And so on the stream, first of all, it looked as though the monitor had good viewing angles. It's all about the viewing angle. So let's look at this spec real quick. This is the BOE. This is the monitor that's probably on the majority of the Arcade1UPs you own. This is what we call the BOE 17-inch monitor. Okay, so like everyone owns many of these probably that are in the chat right now. So this is the viewing angles. 89, 89, 89, 89. So what does 89 mean? Just think of 90 degrees. It's really close to 90 degrees. I think that's the understanding, right? There's another term that's used called 178/178. And IPS monitors are supposed to be at that level. Well, that says 89, 89. Well, 89 plus 89 is 178. So it means the same thing. So 89, 89, 89, 89 is the viewing angle from up, down, left, and right. Basically, you could almost be at a 90-degree angle, and you can still see it. That's kind of a signature of an IPS screen. Now, that's what this is, this BOE monitor. Now, it says it's a TFT. That's the technology that the monitor used. There's this display mode called ADS. No clue what that means. And then you have 1,000-to-1 contrast ratio. All of that in the home arcade space makes up a pretty good monitor. It's a pretty decent monitor. It's got a 14 millisecond response time. It could be better, but an IPS screen being under one frame is 16 milliseconds, you're a little bit under that, it's not that bad. It's what people in the RetroRGB world would say, how does he put it? It's respectful. If you're under a frame, it's a respectful number. Okay, it'd be better if it was 8 milliseconds. That would be micro frame or half a frame, but it's not. It's under one frame, so not too bad on the response time. Again, it could be better, but that is what it is. That's the monitor. That's a 17-inch that majority of people love. Now we're going to go to the one that we dislike. This is the Generation 1. It's not 89, 89, 89. You see these viewing angles? They're much further away from that 90 degree. And they're on this side, which is, I think, the bottom and the right, it's the worst, 80 and 80. And that's why when you go look at your Arcade1UP, that Generation 1, and you look at it from the right and the bottom angle, it doesn't look super great. It also is a TN monitor. And it still has that contrast ratio of 1000 to 1, and it has a different aspect ratio. It's called 5:4 instead of 4:3. So this is a slight little difference, right? So this monitor isn't as good as the BOE. So then we're going to go to the one. This is the one that's in the Pro. So the big question is, did they screw us over? Does the Pro have a really crappy screen on it? Did they lie to us? That's my question. And I told everyone and my friends, they lied to us. That Arcade1UP screwed us over, and they're selling us these Pro models that are not IPS. And then I did a little bit more research. And the spec on this thing is 89, 89, 89. It says operating mode HADS, which I have no clue what that means. It is a 5:4 monitor, so it's not 4:3. It has that response time of 14 milliseconds. And so when I put that all together, the fact that it's got that 178 times 178, or 89, 89, 89, 89, and the pictures show that when you go on the different viewing angles on the video I did with Brandon, it doesn't wash out horribly on the right-hand side. I think it's an IPS monitor. It just doesn't use the term IPS on the specs of this Panel Look or panelook.com website. So I think it's okay. It's not a TN monitor. It would have said TN like the other one if it were a TN monitor. Like, look at the AOU. The AOU right there, display mode TN. Really crappy viewing angles. It spells it out for you. I think they did all right. So then I did more research. This is what Michael B was saying on Twitter. And he was saying it in the chat with me. He's like, they should have came out with a 4:3 monitor. It should have been a 20-inch 4:3 monitor. Okay? So I was like, yeah, you're right. Because I was talking to Code Mystics, or Code Mystics responded to a tweet that I made, I think it was today or yesterday, and we were talking to them about, according to the pictures from Brandon on that stream yesterday, the right-hand side of Killer Instinct has a black bar. The right-hand side. Why? Why the right-hand side? The top and the bottom make sense, because they're trying to make it arcade perfect. And Michael B was like, I want it to fill the whole screen. So I said, Code Mystics, why does it have a black bar on the right-hand side? And they're like, that's a part of the game. They're like, we're hiding this scroll effect on the right-hand side. On any of the 2D games, that's how it works. And then Michael B's like, you should make it where I could stretch it to fill those 32 pixels at the top and 32 pixels at the bottom. And they're like, yeah, we have that already. Just go into the menu and turn it on. Code Mystics has a feature inside the KI Pro. By default, it's integer scaling. So the game was in 240, goes to 960, integer scaling, but the monitor can't go to 960 because the monitor is 1024, so that leaves 32 at the bottom and top black. And Code Mystics is like, yeah, just turn off integer scaling and it'll fill it up. So if you don't want integer scaling, you can turn that off and it'll fill in those 32 pixels at the bottom, but it's basically going to stretch the screen just slightly and maybe add a little bit of lag for the compensation. I don't know. Maybe Code Mystics has a really good filter on that can still do it in the same amount of time as the integer scaling. Integer scaling is just simple math times 4. So I did a little bit of research and thought, could they come out with a better monitor? Could Arcade1UP do a better monitor? Now, I'm not an expert at like being a buyer and locating stock. The only thing I know is this website, Panelook. You know, you go look at panels or Panelook, whatever it's called, and you can look up spec for machines and you kind of search for other things. So I thought, okay, is there another BOE monitor that is 5x4? No, I couldn't find another one that's bigger. I'm like, okay. What if it's not BOE? So, no. I was able to find a BOE. I'm sorry. A BOE that's 20.1. And then it has all of these options. It's a BOE. And so here's one, 89, 89, 89. That's pretty good. Not as good contrast ratio, 800 by 1 instead of 1,000 to 1. Okay, let's start looking into that one. So I did some research on that one. Then I found this other one that's 1,600 times 1,200, even a higher resolution. This is 5 times the integer scale. Ooh, could we do this one? We got a 1,400 contrast ratio right there. Let's start looking into those options. And everywhere I went, there's this sharp one as well. Not as good, 85, 85, 85. And then moral of the story is, let me jump to it. They're stupid expensive. Like $500 for these monitors. I could not find a 4x3 20-inch that's like $100. So these other monitors that we're talking about, the Arcade1UP monitors that they're using, these AOUs, these BOEs that are 17 or 19 inch, you can Google these and you can find these on eBay. You can find them on AliExpress, and they're about 75 plus shipping. I found one was like $75, but then $45 shipping just for one. I think it was AliExpress. eBay has them for like $120. But the moment you say, I want a 4x3 BOE, you gotta get the 5x scaling from what I found. And then it's like $500. It's probably a really awesome monitor. So I don't know. Maybe you could do some more research and go, I found the monitor that Arcade1UP should have got. And I think they would love to do a monitor, but from what I could gather, I could not find one that was just like $5 more and it's better. Everything that I found, at least to a consumer research, and then just what if I just bought one, it was very expensive to replace the monitor with a better version. So I just think the 19-inch 5x4 is on the KI Pro. You can stretch it to fill that tiny black on the top and bottom. It feels like the right answer to me. It doesn't make sense. I mean, just the way the economics work. Yeah, you're paying $1,000, but $500 of that being the monitor, although kind of makes sense from a consumer's point of view. That's just not how products are made, right? Anyway, so let's take a look at the chat. And there was a couple subjects that came in. Oh, thank you so much. New member, the bad guy, Mike Worley. It's kind of funny. I have a friend named Mike Worley. I assume you're not Mike Worley, my friend Mike Worley. But anyway, you have the same name as Mike Worley. Because you probably would have emailed me and said, hey, man, I'm a fan of your show. Anyway, let's see. So earlier in the show, I asked for some topics, and we're going to go through them from the top and bottom. I'm going to go through real quick and star the ones that I see as topics. And it looks like we got some pretty good ones here. Yeah, so we're going to talk about buy stuff. I'm pretty interested in the buy stuff store. Kim Arcades asked the Loom and Doom question. Do you think this retro home arcade stuff is a fad and will eventually die? So let's talk about that. Let's see. JJ is asking about best Arcade1UP mods for pinball or regular alt topic Switch games. Are you buying in 2022-23? Let's talk about that. Let's see. Top best arcade cabinets of 2022. Let's start that one. This is a quick topic. What is your favorite Smashing Pumpkins album? I would have to say Siamese Dream. Like Siamese Dream, I'm playing along to and listening to all the time. Hummer is probably my favorite song on the album. Geek USA is really good. Chairbox really good. I mean, almost every song that's on it. Like, the only song I don't listen to is Silver. Like, that's the only one. Literally, I love every other song on that album. Like, even the last two songs. My brother was like, oh, I love that album, but not the last two songs. I'm like, what are you talking about? The last two songs are fantastic. Bears beats Battlestar Galactica. How about Bears beats... No, that's dumb. I was going to... Cocaine Bear beats Battlestar Galactica. Okay. My favorite Pumpkins album is Disarm. I think he's talking about his favorite song is Disarm. Okay, yeah, let's talk about Radio Silence from Arcade1UP. Good sign or bad? Let's talk about that. Let's see, what else we got? Kind of going through the list here. Yeah, Melancholy Infinite Status was very good. Very, very good album. Let's see if I got any more topics in the list here. All right, so if you have any more topics that you want to go over, type in that topic in the chat, and we'll get into it. But I'm going to type in topics past here just to kind of put a line in the sand. Let me grab the super chat real quick. It's 3D with a $4.99 super chat. Appreciate it so much. He says, why are you so concerned with BOE aspect ratio and contrast instead of display lag and response time? Yeah, so here's the thing. So BOE aspect ratio and contrast are things that are within a few dollars, I would say, Arcade1UP can control. But if you want a better display lag and response time, like I have friends that have worked with China. Like I don't have any of this knowledge personally, so I'm not trying to say like, oh, I'm an expert of it. But I've talked to some people in the industry that sell products, and they've talked about building an arcade monitor, an LCD arcade monitor, and I saw one that they wanted to produce. And I played it. It was amazing. 26-inch monitor, super high resolution, very low response time. Like we're talking like 1-2 millisecond response time. It's like $600 cost. And so, and what we're talking about is like, in my opinion, 8 milliseconds and 14 milliseconds is a very small amount that is very difficult to like actually notice a difference. You can claim that you can notice the difference, and maybe you can, but when the game is 60 frames per second, I just think that precision of lag, because it's like your button's gonna go and trigger the game, and most of the games are developed in a way where it has like, what is it called? It goes and draws the game. Like no matter if it's not a CRT, the game thinks it's plugged into a CRT, right? So the game engine thinks it's in the CRT, and it's gonna draw the lines. And then it gets to the very bottom of the game logic called vertical blank. Is that what it's called? Or V blank? And that's when it makes a decision of what the next frame should be. And the game polls the controllers and says, let me calculate the next move. And then it draws the animation from it. And that V blank is happening in a fraction of a second. And it's already committed to draw whatever it's going to draw. It's the difference between 8 milliseconds and 14 milliseconds. It's already committed what it's going to draw. It's like a little buffer. It's like if you get how are you going to get it lower than that? You know, it draws 60 times per second, 16 milliseconds. The V blank is super tiny. It's a super tiny amount of time. So it's kind of like on an LCD monitor, the expense you have to go to get that lag lower, and the gain I think you'll actually get just doesn't seem like it's worth it. But visually, the contrast ratio, the aspect ratio, the expense you have to get it right is very low. And the gain you get is really attractive to me, because I can constantly look at a screen and go, this looks better than that crappy TN monitor. Let's go to the topics now. Appreciate the super chat, and I hope you liked my opinion, the response. Okay, so the first one is Marty McFly asks, topic, what brand new games are coming in 2023 other than Double Dragon? So first of all, do we even know Double Dragon's coming? And let's see. Yeah, this is basically turning into a speculation video if we go into there. Specifically, I know of no new titles coming out next year. Specifically, I know no new titles coming out next year. I have zero confidence about any titles coming out next year at all. I have high confidence that we're going to get Pac-Man, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. What's another big one? I have high confidence that that will happen. I have high confidence that Star Wars will happen. But I have zero confidence in Double Dragon. Zero confidence in any other brand new titles. Buy Stuff. Yes, Buy Stuff has new encoders and Outrun. Let's talk about that. So here's a website. One of the things that I didn't know is BuyStuffArcade.com, which is Buy Stuff Canada, sells to the U.S. So for a moment there, who in the chat has bought from Buy Stuff that lives in the United States? I'd love to hear from you. Did you pay additional for shipping? Did you know, what was the situation? I have not yet purchased from Buy Stuff, but I'll tell you what I'm gonna buy. I do have plans to buy things from Buy Stuff. So this is what the commenter was talking about: Ridge Racer and Outrun mod kits. If you want to know more about, this, I have a friend in YouTube. His name is B-Kong. He has a channel called Kongs R Us, and Kongs R Us has done a lot of content coverage of Buy Stuff arcades. He's done a couple sponsored videos where they have come on the show, and Retro Lizard has come on the show. Great content to watch, and they're offering, in my opinion, in my authentic opinion, not paid by them in any way or trying to hook up Kongs R Us. Hold on a second. In my opinion, they're offering some mods that I have not seen the likes of from anybody else. That's pretty spectacular. This idea that you can get a replacement encoder for these driving cabs and then plug it into a PC, and then that PC will connect to their kit that will plug in, through HDMI. So you can take your computer. Yeah, zero is not a bad price. You can take your computer, get their encoder, get their display adapter, plug a computer, and so what'll happen is your driving wheel for Ridge Racer or Outrun will think through their encoder is an Xbox controller. And you can play any type of racing games on whatever emulation package that you have, and you can play it on your Ridge Racer. And so that's a pretty spectacular mod. And then Retro Lizard is doing all these things where he's like selling kits like pretty much ready to go. They're really expensive, but he does all the work for you. But if you want to do the work yourself, which doesn't look like very hard, they have this encoder board. You plug all the wires into the encoder board, and then this basically gives you USB. And then they have like a DisplayPort connector to plug your computer into the Arcade1UP monitor. And then it's all up to you just getting the games on there. So Buy Stuff is doing some pretty spectacular things. What I'm interested in getting, which I've emailed them and I'm trying to get on a waiting list, is the Deluxe 2.0 back box for the Legends pinball machine. It's $500. It's pretty expensive, but when I take a look at what it gives you, that's what I'm really excited about. So you can go to them. You can order all the different parts from it. You can get your what's called a VIBS board, some HDMI cables. And so if you take a look at their HDMI cable setup, it looks pretty fantastic. Let me switch screens here. So they get these little HDMI adapters that go underneath. Visual aesthetics are important to me. I think that's really cool. And you can plug a PC into this and then unlock just an endless amount of virtual pinball games through your PC. And on the Legends pinball machine, there's basically a button that will swap you between stock and your PC. And here's my thought. Michael B's been covering this a little bit. And he's like, dude, if me, Michael B, can do this type of mod, anyone can do it. And honestly, that inspired me. Because if Michael B could do it, I think anyone could. So yeah, you're paying a lot up front, but if you go look at what virtual pinball cost and the gap between what the Legends Ultimate at 32-inch 1080 and what this back box gives you is a 22-inch LCD screen at the top here. Another one, that's the DMD screen. You get 3 HDMIs, and you can get that all wired into your computer. And the instructions of getting that working on your computer is pretty straightforward. It's the largest screen wins. Like, you make this bottom one your, display 1 and display 2 and display 3. And then you set up your, various software to be able to play, like FX3, and you configure it for cabinet mode, and boom, you're playing all these games on your Legends Ultimate. And I think this is a great investment. It adds value to the Legends Ultimate. I've owned the Legends Ultimate for over a year. I enjoy it. It's fun, but I'm really getting into other titles that are outside of the Legends ecosystem, the AtGames ecosystem. And if I want to play those on that style of cabinet, I'd have to spend way more. But it seems like I take the investment I already have, add $500 to it, and a computer I already have, or buy another computer. I'm still working it out. And so for me, I think it'll only cost me about $500 and change. The computer that I'm running this stream on right now, I bought about 2 years ago, has a really good graphics card in it. And I've been thinking about buying a Mac Mini to manage all of my streaming. I use Mac throughout my house, and I was like, I just want my streaming computer to be a Mac Mini. So I've been planning on doing that anyway, and then that frees up this computer, which is a Windows machine, and I could use that for the pinball. And so, yeah, that's Buy Stuff Store or buystuffarcades.com. And yeah, pretty excited about that. So I don't know when they're going to come back in stock. These things have been out of stock. I think the year 2023, when it comes to Arcade1UP Home Arcade, the most exciting stuff is probably going to be coming from companies like buystuffarcades.com, because they are doing something. Although Sabo is awesome, there's a list of people that are pretty awesome. Tulsa Arcades, let's see, DIY Retro Arcades, to name a few. But it seems like Buy Stuff is like really coming up with really cool ideas to do these mods. Like, we're gonna take the brand new racing cab that just came out and adapt it so you can play Daytona on it. Like, that's really cool. Yes, this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm waiting for the new M2 Mac Mini. I had also heard that it should come out in January. That's literally why I haven't bought it. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the M2. The M2 Mac Mini should give you multiple display out, which I have 3 monitors right now that I'm streaming on. And I don't want to get the M1 because it doesn't give you that as good multi-monitor out. And then I share screen with a dedicated monitor right in my live stream. Like, this is literally a monitor that I have that I'm sharing on the stream, and it's connected to my computer, and it's a button away to just kind of pump that up instead of share screen. So I'm hoping I can replicate that in on a Mac Mini. Let's see. Okay, so next topic we have in the list is, do you think the retro home arcade stuff is just a fad that will eventually die? If so, when? Will it be like the arcade crash of '83? I'm going to work that backwards. I don't think anything's like the arcade crash of '83. So this is something that I have been curious about for a long time. I remember in 2020, I went to CES, and I had a chat with PK of AtGames. He was offsite, invited me over, and we had a good 2-hour conversation. And we talked about this specific topic. And the question was whether or not this home arcade thing is a fad. And we shared theories. And that conversation has kind of echoed in my head for many years. And so let's just say that other conversations I've had with different people kind of went like this. It's a lot of comparing this home arcade to other things. And so everyone who I've had that conversation with doesn't really have confidence that they actually know what's going to happen. And I think there's an interesting thing. Like, if you compare that like Moore's Law, there's this theory that every 2 years computers like continue to grow and gain in technology. And there's a video by Elon Musk that he's like, that's not true. Like, that doesn't happen. He's like, we went to the moon like decades ago, and then we stopped. And no one remembers how to do it. So technology doesn't always, there has to be something that's motivating and pushing the technology forward for it to double in scale and go on and go on. If nothing is feeding that interest, it will die. And so let's use that as an analogy for a second. Let's say that is true for home arcade. So the question is it a fad and will it die? Using what Elon Musk said, if there's plenty of interest in it and everyone's pushing the technology forward, then it wouldn't die, right? But if it kind of ends because the interest isn't there, then yeah, maybe it will die. What I think will happen or when, I don't know. But here's what I do know. In the last year, 2022, Arcade1UP, being in the past one of the biggest companies in home arcade, didn't have the greatest year. Like, it wasn't their best year. Go look at the last 4 years. I think 2020 was their best year. When they came out with Star Wars, remember that? 2020 was just killer. That's when they said they just broke 2 million, and then all of a sudden they broke 3 million in sales. They haven't announced a 4 million year. And you go look at this last year, they made a ton of mistakes, right? Killer Instinct being announced with a Pro, and then they waited so long, the interest waned. There was so many people that are saying how the Killer Instinct was coming out, the Pro, but then it wasn't announced. So then they just kind of went ahead and went with the standard edition, and then it finally did come out. So people get upset. Then you got Blitz and its online issues. I was reflecting, like, why did the price go down so quickly? This is a really interesting period of time in this home arcade space. You got the big company like Arcade1UP, and that company came out with one of the biggest titles, Blitz. I started thinking, is it the biggest title? I mean, it's not NBA Jam. I think NBA Jam is a more popular title than Blitz. I'm not trying to discredit Blitz, but when I talk to my friends some of my friends that are not in the home arcade space, that don't own any, and I talk about these retro games, NBA Jam, and it's like, oh, boom shakalaka, who's on fire? You know, he's on fire. I love that game. And then I talk to them about Blitz, and the excitement is there. Don't get me wrong, the excitement is there. But I had to come for conversations with 2 or 3 friends, and I was like, yeah, Arcade1UP came out with Blitz. Do you remember that? They're like, yeah. And they immediately started talking about late hits. How they wanted to come over and play that game assuming it would have late hits. So it's like, you got, he's on fire for NBA Jam, boom shakalaka, and then you got Blitz. Immediately, they're talking about the fun and excitement of tackling people after the play is over. And Arcade1UP didn't deliver that feature. I own Blitz, and I'm attracted to play it because friends of mine in the online space were like, we should play it. We should play together. So I'm excited about doing that. But I wish it was more like the original. And I truly think a huge mistake that Arcade1UP made this year is with Blitz. This is what they should have done. And I told them, but it was too late. I didn't know Blitz was coming out. But I was like, here's the thing. So on Disney Plus, there is content on Disney Plus that is no longer appropriate because of society. Do you know what Disney Plus does? Do they take down that content? Now, there's some content that they've removed. Some very old content. People in the chat probably know what I'm talking about. There's some content that is just like the entire show is just not appropriate in our society anymore. It wasn't back then, and it isn't now. But there's a disclaimer for all the other content. Like right when you start up the movie, the show, it says, this content contains things that weren't right back then and aren't right now, but we're going to keep this content so we can continue having a conversation about it. Yeah, Song of the South is the one you won't find anywhere. But you look at shows like Pinocchio. You go watch Pinocchio, it has a disclaimer at the beginning. A 30-second countdown that tells you I'll look it up real quick if you guys don't know what I'm talking about. Hit one in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. So Disney Plus, it's called, what did they call it? Message pop up about let's see. Anyway, I can't even remember what it's called. It's anyway, here's my point. Why didn't they just add a pop-up to NFL Blitz? Yeah, the trigger warning. They could have made it where every single time you start up NFL Blitz, it has a disclaimer. And it could literally have been exactly the same disclaimer that Disney has. Like, tackling football players wasn't appropriate back then and isn't now. But we're keeping it in the game because it's a video game and it doesn't represent reality. We respect the NFL and all they have done to change the industry. But this is a video game, have fun. You know? But instead, they altered it. And they removed a feature that a lot of people get excited about. And I remember when that happened, I thought as though, like, it's not a big deal, whatever. But I'm thinking about it, and it is kind of true. Where there's some people that were claiming that were like, that's like taking blood away from, or fatalities out of Mortal Kombat. Maybe that's an extreme example. But the point is I think they could have handled it a different way. I think they could have just did a disclaimer. That's it. A cultural disclaimer. It's like, hey, don't play this game and then go tackle people. We don't like that. And then I think the sales would have been a lot better. The other thing that they made a mistake on Blitz is, you know, they didn't have online ready. And I think they're in a tough position because I've heard rumors that, 3D says Blitz got woke and gone broke. There you go. I heard there was some struggle with the development on that, but it was based on like changes in the direction and stuff like that, and that's what happens from time to time. So the number of things that happened this year that were negative towards Arcade1UP, does that mean it's all going away? I don't know. I hope not. And here's why. Like, there's only a couple companies that at this level that's bringing a community like this together that is recreating some of these arcade games. You know, there's a handful of other ones that are doing like the miniature arcades, but I love the idea that a company like Arcade1UP is funding Code Mystics to innovate new technologies. And I love the idea of money. I mean, I'm a software developer. That's what I do for a living. And I love when projects get greenlit and we get the funding to do a project. At work, I'm a lead developer. So I'm one of the developers that has the idea to pitch ideas. And we'll pitch ideas and I'll talk to other developers to kind of like change the idea. And then a VP will say, yes, we should do this. And it's happened to me many times. And that's super exciting because we hire more people. You know, it brings in new developers and we get to train them. And then I've worked with developers and saw them grow from they barely knew how to code to some of them are working at Google. And it's super satisfying to see that growth. And it all stemmed. I remember this one, a project that we greenlit meant we could hire a new developer. And I wanted to mentor a new developer. So I hired someone that was a boot camper. And the person just soared. And within 2 years, he left the company and got a job somewhere else. It's happened a few times. So anyway, the idea that Arcade1UP is making a lot of money, but they're also like kind of sending that out to these different third-party companies, that's cool. That's really cool. And I'd hate for that to stop. That'd be upsetting if that money train that's kind of going out to these different people went away. But hopefully they'll make better decisions. So, Cam, I hope that answers your question. It was a long-winded answer. That's my thoughts on it. I mean, there's not a lot of data there. That's the thing. I don't really like my own opinions, if that makes any sense. I like to like share data that's like, here's what I know. And here's what I don't know, but speculating, I think it's fun to speculate about titles. And the reason why speculating about titles is sometimes fun is I get to learn about personalities of what game interests people have. So that's fun. But guessing the future, it's like, I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. I wish I knew, but I don't. Okay, next topic we have. Hey, Justin, topic. Best Arcade1UP mods for pinball or regular cabs? All topic Switch games. Are they worth buying in 2022, 2023, or is it a dying system? Let's start with the Nintendo Switch. I don't know about Switch being a dying system. I don't know about that. I don't buy a ton of games for the Switch. It's a lot of first-party titles for me personally. Any of the big titles, anything my daughter wants to buy, I basically get for her, but she's pretty selective. I mean, that's me. I don't think Switch is a dying system. It's pretty fantastic. Maybe they're going to come out with a new version next year. I don't know. Like a Switch 2 or something. Are we ready for a new version? So best Arcade1UP mods for pinball or regular cabs. When it comes to Arcade1UP and it comes to pinball, right? Like the Pinner mod that's out there from Team Encoder. I haven't done it yet, but the idea that you can sideload games on the pinball machines, that's something I'll be doing soon. I have an interest in that. I've been playing a lot of Attack from Mars. And I want to play the virtual pinball version of it from Zen on my Star Wars. So I think that's a pretty good one. Any other mods? I think I'm going to leave it there. We'll go with that. I'll get more answers as time goes by. Best arcade cabinet of 2022 from How to Bachelor. I think the answer, in my opinion, is the Street Fighter Yoga Flame Edition. And let me tell you why. I'm going to share screen here. Come on, go away. No, thank you. I'm okay. The stupid pop-ups from Arcade1UP. Okay, so let's take a look at it real quick. The Arcade1UP website. So Blitz, I don't think it can win number one. It has a slanted control panel. It has 49-way joysticks. It's got a good monitor. As a decent marquee, not the best marquee, but decent. Has 2 coin doors, but it doesn't have online for all of its games yet. So there's a lot of things that disqualify that for the best for all year. NBA Jam came with a TN monitor, can't win. Same with Golden Tee, it can't win, disqualified because of the monitor. Same with Centipede. I think those bad monitors automatically disqualify it. And so here we're left with the Yoga Flame and the Midway Mortal Kombat. And so the Mortal Kombat, I don't own this one, but I do think it looks cool, but it's disqualified because it had that TN monitor. And so even you can see it on the pictures for those of you that don't know about it. If you go to the Arcade1UP website, this is the one good thing about Arcade1UP, that if you go to their pictures, just go to one where the monitor, your camera is on the right-hand side, and you'll see a realistic view of, see that? A realistic view of what it looks like. The color is degraded. It's because it doesn't, earlier in the video, we were talking about that 89, 89, 89. This viewing angle is only 80. And so it has that lower, the color degrades when you look at it from the right-hand side. But what's awesome about this cabinet is this entire midway shape right here. It's a shame that it didn't have a fantastic monitor. But you go to the Yoga Flame, and so the Yoga Flame is got that BOE IPS monitor in it. And so it has the higher end monitor. And I don't know if do they have one from the right? Yeah. So right hand side. Now, I think this is a digital picture, but it's hard to say. But I mean, I have this one. It's a great shape. It's the midway shape, but it's a Capcom title. And the marquee looks amazing. Like, I don't know if you can get better than the marquee they used on this one. Maybe because it doesn't have a lot of blacks in it. It's all this orange and yellow. The marquee looks great on the Yoga Flame. It's got the control deck that's slightly slanted. It's taller. It's comfortable. In my opinion, this wins Cabinet of the Year. What do you guys think? Do you have a favorite cabinet of the year? Let's see. Who owns the Midway game libraries right now? I think it's Warner Brothers, right? Warner Brothers, Midway, Williams is majority Time Warner, Warner Brothers, Warner Media, like that area of those companies. Let's see. I wouldn't take NFL branding product if it was given to me. Wow. Dragon Slayer, a lot of people say, I agree. I vote Dragon Slayer as the best overall cab for 2022. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's see. A lot of people saying Dragon Slayer was the best. Got a couple more topics come in. Let me do a search for topics. Okay, I think we're doing pretty good on time. Let's see. Stupid Fat Hobbit. Hold on a second. I gotta fix the music here. I gotta reset it. So he says, let's talk about radio silence from Arcade1UP in the past few months. Good sign or bad sign? It kind of depends on what you mean by good sign and bad sign, I guess. But here's what I think is going on. I had a conversation with John D this week. I had a call with him, and the reason why is because there's conversations with him about doing another 1UP show and whether I'd be interested in helping them produce that show. And he didn't tell me the reason, but I told him what I think is going on. And he didn't necessarily agree with me, but he didn't disagree with me, if you want. I mean, if you understand what I'm saying. I mean, this isn't evidence that what I'm about to say is true. It doesn't really lean credence to it in any way, but I will tell you, this is my genuine opinion. My opinion is the reason why Arcade1UP is radio silent is they are scared of the community. I think I've said this before. They are afraid of every possible backlash, and they would rather not say anything than to put their foot in their mouth. Because time and time again, when they do communicate, they put their foot in their mouth. And then most of social media relating to Arcade1UP becomes negative. And then the individuals that spoke get in trouble. That's my opinion. That's what I think is happening. I think every single time they try to communicate, they botch it. And when they do, it's just, they're afraid. They're just afraid. And so that's the feedback I'm giving them. You know, I'm like, the advice that I gave them, I'll tell you this. The advice that I gave Arcade1UP is that they should do more shows. Those shows should be pre-recorded. They should be like the Pinball show. It should be very factual driven. Here's information, no filibuster. This is the announcement. In and out. Just fill it up with timing, releases, FAQ, and they go on social media and say, ask us your questions, right? You know, in some type of Facebook group, you know, what questions do you have? When, you know, what are the questions that you have? And then they just do a monthly 1UP show and then just answer all the questions, highly edited. When I say highly edited, if you go look at the Pinball show, like I'm looking at the Pinball show as like a content creator, and the Pinball show is fast cuts. And so that means, it's straight and to the point. And, already there's some people that are like, all bad ideas. I think that would get them over their fear of communicating, because they'll be like, you need to prepare. You need to come up with the talk track. You need to communicate instead of just like winging it. Because I think winging it gets you in trouble. You don't think through it. You don't think through the announcement. Anyway, that's my thought. So, is it a bad thing? A good sign or a bad sign? So let's say it was a good sign. The good sign would mean they have a lot of great news that they're holding back, and pretty soon they're going to announce it. And so they're just like, I guess that would be, if it was a good sign, that would be a good answer. The bad sign is they're radio silent because they're just scared of communicating. And yeah, so I think it's a bad sign, and I think they're scared. I think they should just stop being scared and just own it and just be like, here's what's happening, and communicate more and be like, give timelines. And this is the next, when the next announcement is, set a precedence of you're going to get regular information directly from the source in a format that's easily consumable. And you don't have to watch, like this live stream is an hour long, but I'm not a company. You know, I'm not a company. I'm just hanging out with people. I'm just a live streamer, a YouTuber, right? I think it's a bad idea to try to be like a company is going to do like a wing it live stream. Like it works if it's fine if you're just a streamer, right? I could be just playing video games for an hour, live streaming, like that's fine. But the format for a company, I think it should be a little bit more professional. Anyway, that's my opinion. Let's see. Whatever happened to the root beer tapper fridge and Sonic the Hedgehog cabs that were leaked a while back? Could we see those at CES? So it could be CES, could be E3. Typically in the last couple of years, CES and E3 has been where they do their major announcements. I'll remind you, we talked about this last year. CES is typically not where there's big announcements. It's, Star Wars, for example, was announced at E3 when it was initially announced. And the Pinball was announced at CES, but didn't come out for like another year. So, but I think the Pinball at CES was like, we have a new product line. And there hasn't been any rumors of a new product line. There's only been like rumors of titles. Anyway, so we'll see. I don't know, man. Root beer tapper with the fridge, it looks really cool. But Sonic the Hedgehog, if you think about it, all the rest of the titles that have been leaked in the past that have not come out, you got Time Crisis, you got Sonic the Hedgehog, you got Root Beer Tapper, and you got Track and Field. Maybe there's a few more. But I'm not certain these will sell well. And with Arcade1UP having the year that they did, man, I don't know. I don't know if they can take a chance on titles like that. I don't know. Let's see. So then we got 360 says topic. When you reach the later 2000 eras of home arcade, do you see Arcade1UP making cabinets for classic home arcade consoles such as Dead Alive, Power Stone? What I think could happen, let's say that home arcade and Arcade1UP does well next year to stay afloat and the following year stay afloat. I think it's possible they may expand beyond arcades because they're really, it just depends on where the market goes. But I understand some of the licenses that they have are exclusive. Some of the Capcom ones, there's some particular ones that they have like lifetime license, I've heard. So if you have a lifetime license on a game, you're going to want to make that wide and, just, put it on Switch maybe. Come out with your own console maybe to hook it up to TVs. Like at a certain point, it's just like, how do we make this license work for us everywhere? I don't know if they would take console games and put it on arcades though. Maybe they've done it before, but it's been filler games, All right. Let's see what else you got. Yeah. You can't flat pack a fridge. It's a good point. Arcade1UP sells wood. and they flat pack wood. That's where their money is. Let's see if we got anything else going on in the chat. Is there any other topics that anyone has that they want to talk about? This topic show was kind of fun. I haven't done it this way before. That was kind of fun, where it would just ask you to type in topics. I kind of listed them. It's kind of a fun format. And then everyone kind of knew what topics are kind of coming up. And then, yeah, I might think about that for 2023, kind of like make that even better. Like, it'd be kind of cool if I could like make a little UI where you list the topics and the topics are always like hanging here on the side, but it's only the topics that are pinned. Oh, we had this idea a long time ago. We were going to call it, like while you're going into the chat, we would parking lot topics. Yeah, that's an idea. I think I basically want to bring back the parking lot idea, where we just like create a parking lot of topics, kind of shove them in there. Candy Cab would be really cool. They truly are a lumber company. Let's see, what else we got going on here? Sonic is a huge franchise with kids. Those movies did well. I'm not sure a cabinet would sell well, though. But if you ever wanted, now is the time. Yeah, associating it with the movie, I think, would be a good idea. But, I mean, I think they would have to wait for the third Sonic movie, I guess. Let's see. Honestly, will we actually stop buying Arcade1Ups even with the issues we've been having? I don't think so. Wow, J-Sauce. It kind of depends. I think if you get... If a cabinet's on... if the cabinet's on like an extreme deal, it's like really inexpensive, I think some people make concessions, no problem. You know, they're like... You know, I'll spend $2.99 on that, like Blitz for $2.99. You're like, oh, the online's not there for the other two games. You're like, yeah, but it's $2.99. Like, I bought that at $3.89, and I was like, okay, I'll pull the trigger at $3.99 or $3.89. Let's see. Here's a topic. We got, what are your 3/4 scale release predictions? Wants from Arcade1Up in 2023. Yeah, I was debating. Let me think about that. I haven't really sat down and thought about that. Let me make that a separate episode. I'll do that before the end of the year. I was thinking about making this episode the final episode of the year, but I have time off, so I may just do like a live stream randomly. Let me come up with... I was going to call it, this is not a prediction video. This is a wish list. I don't know. That's probably a dumb title. But, yeah, I was just going to be like, this is my wish list. Because, you know, although I'm a part of potentially, I haven't decided whether I'm going to do another show with, I mean, I told that to John. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do another show with that 1UP show, help them out with that. I think they need my help, to be honest. Because I don't think they have anyone to like do that, like help them prep the show and like press record and then coordinate it all and then record it. I think that's a problem, that they don't have anyone there that like understands how any of that works. They don't have like technology people that are interested in that. Anyway, but I only know about the next major announcement for sure, which I've already told everyone what it is. So I broke that embargo a long time ago. And then beyond that, there's fuzzy things that they've said that I don't know when and where and what it exactly will mean. I've speculated heavily about what 2023 is going to be, but I don't have high confidence that it's going to be exactly what it is. No, it's Star Wars. Star Wars is totally coming. Everyone knows that, right? Let's see. Wondering when we'll see CES leaks, this week or next. I don't know. It's funny, around this time, we got like a ton of leaks, right? I don't know if we're going to get leaks this time. Maybe, maybe not. All your wishes are belong to us. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Pretty good title. Title idea. This is not the greatest topic in the world. No, this is just a tribute. These are good Dude, you guys, half of YouTube is just having a good idea for a title. And then you just got to deliver on that title. I make good titles and I never deliver. And then that's called clickbait. A re-release of Space Invaders 1-Up with a mirrored screen, aka a numbskull, would be cool. Yeah, I think Space Invaders was the least sold Arcade1UP cabinet, I think. But now we have the KI Pro. The KI Pro, I think, and that might have been the lowest number now. It's the end of the world? That's pretty good. No REM. Is your guitar shining happy people? No REM. All right. Let's see. Cam is talking about submit a ticket. They take care of me in the past. Be on warranty. If no, yeah. You're talking to Orange. Yeah. We definitely need to make sure that is definitely mentioned more often. I've said that in a couple streams, and then people didn't know that, and people have come back on comments and thanked me. But I heard it from Facebook group, and the Facebook group, basically there's a Facebook group, and they were talking about, like, I have this problem with my arcade cabinet, and I've owned it for like a year and a half, and then someone was like, you should contact customer support, and it was like the PCB went out, and yeah, they sent him a new one, and it well beyond warranty. Now, I did get an email recently, and tell me if in the chat you've been in, because I want to do research on this. I guess this is the beginning of me doing research. So there's a person that contacted me. His name is Brian, and he says, I'm going to read his email to you. I'm going to read his email. He says, Justin, my Atari 12-in-1 had 2 control panels stop working since I got it in April. I see that you also have an Atari 12-in-1, and I was wondering if you knew of any solution to this problem. Hit 1 in the chat if you've had this problem. Brian says, from what I have been reading, this is a common problem. 1UP keeps wanting to send me a replacement control panel, and then they just stop working after 2 months. This is very frustrating. And so, yeah, this is I had heard one other person talk about this, and this is the second. Maybe I'm not observant enough if this has happened a lot to a lot of people, but I had heard that some people, I think it was the button stopped working on their Tempest cabinet. And then we got a few people. Let's see. Cam says, yep, that's exactly right on Tempest. Orange Nation Arcade hit 1, implying that it's happened to them. 360 hit 1. 0.3 times. I don't know what 0.3 times means. Let's see. The Reddit was full of this a month or two after the release. Yeah. So, I mean, I wish I was more involved in the Reddit community, but I have an addiction problem with Reddit, and if I open up Reddit, I'll never stop reading Reddit, and so I've avoided Reddit. Not because I think negatively towards the Reddit Arcade1UP group, but because it's kind of like, it's like my TikTok. Like I just won't stop scrolling, and so I wasn't aware of it. Yeah, I'll leave that to other content creators that read Reddit. Justin, you doing a Christmas week stream? We need to discuss what everybody's favorite holiday drink, talk best Christmas movies, and jolly good time with the community, talking arcades and anything else. Maybe I am off till the new year, so perhaps I'll do some impromptu streams that are encouraging. That's possible. I think they know they have a QA issue. Okay. I wonder how they're going to fix it. This is happening. I wrote the comment. This is happening to me. I wonder if I wrote that comment, wondering an entire new LCD now for my T4K. My name is Brian, by the way. Could be you. Yeah, if you emailed me, then that's definitely it. Yeah, there's a handful of, the button's dead. So where I could help out is first I'm going to check and see if this happens to me. And man, I don't know if I have the skills to do it, but I would love to get one of these encoder boards or, you know, whatever that needs to be replaced and kind of, I mean, I have a lot of experience diagnosing hardware problems. I'm not like extremely experienced in it, but I know basic electronics enough to be able to, you know, identify issues. I have an oscilloscope, a soldering iron, you know, like can tone it out. I can check and see. I can take a known working one and identify exactly what part is going wrong. That might just be fun, maybe for YouTube content. Like I got to the bottom of the Tempest problem and Arcade1UP fix it, you know, make a big thumbnail that's like, here's your problem, now fix it. Just for the hobby, you know, that could be fun. I thought about getting into that content more where I just, you know, buy hardware stuff and then, you know, repair it. Stupid Fat Hobbit says, I just bought the Asteroids Gen 1 off of Marketplace for $240. Is the same spinner issue on that one too, or just the Tempest cab? Anyone? So there was a couple, I think there was 3 Asteroids. So there was a Gen 1 Asteroids that only had 4 games on it. No, I'm wrong. So there's one that has 4 games on it. There's the Asteroid Deluxe that came from Costco that has 6 games on it. And then there's another one called the Asteroid Deluxe that had 12 games on it. Then they had a V2 Asteroids, isn't that right? That had an upgraded spinner. It was basically the Gen 1, but it had an upgraded spinner. And then they sold the spinners aftermarket. And then Glenn has spinners that you could swap to. And then they made the Tempest cab. And so I don't recall there being issues with any of the Gen 1 Asteroids, all of those variants. I don't remember that being an issue. And Molar Medic, I have to mention to you, I hate you, Molar Medic. Because 2 years ago you told me I will not be happy until I own a pinball machine. And you were right. Because now I'm a happy man that owns 2 pinball machines. And I will never forget your comment. I didn't mean I hate you. I just said that for dramatic effect. I love you, Molar Medic, a doctor that owns a ton of pinball machines. Which is funny because in my town, the guy that I bought the pinball machines, I think is a surgeon. And he owns many, many, many pinball machines. And he's really happy. He's like, real pins, brother. I have 6 and I need more. And I don't know if I'm going to get it, but my wife kind of gave me the A-OK that I could get one more and own 3 pinball machines. Because the guy locally said he's got a... So there's these pinballs that, you know, the Stern pinball machines, a lot of companies will pre-order them. So they're already sold. So they put a pre-order out there. But the guy locally in Iowa here, they don't do the pre-orders. And so once they get them, they're like, bam, we got them. And he said he's got new ones coming. And he said, he was like, he delivered the other pinballs. We have a pretty good relationship. And he was like, if you want one of the new ones, I'll hold one aside for you. So I may get that one. Yeah, nobody has 3 pinball machines. Yeah, you guys want to see? We're kind of late into the stream. I was probably going to make some content on it. Dedicated. It's kind of part of the 2023 package. My hope is to make more content, more edited content. 2022 was a lot of live streams. I'll continue to do live streams, but this might sound nerdy, but I use Adobe Premiere for editing videos. And I want to try something different. So I'm going to try Final Cut, see if I can learn some skills in Final Cut. And so that means I got to make edited videos if I want to learn Final Cut. So I think my first Final Cut video is going to be this one. Let me show you. I'm pretty excited about it. So this is my garage of arcades. And this is what I got. Look at that beauty. Okay, so coming video is my Star Wars Episode 1 Pinball 2000 in mint condition. It is amazing. It's all original. It's got a CRT in it. It's got the original computer in it. And the dude hooked me up with a new core, which is this emulator to be able to, replicate the computer like on a modern computer or a newer computer. But it doesn't need it. And I not only got this one, but I also got Revenge from Mars in the same condition. Like, I will make a video on this and you might cry because somehow the very first pinball machines that I got are the Pinball 2000 machines in perfect condition. And if you go and do research on YouTube or anywhere for these machines, most of them, a lot of them are not in spectacular condition. Like, I'm going to show you the side of these machines, and the artwork is flawless. They're brand new, but they're not brand new. And here's the really cool thing. My wife and I got married October 5th, 1999, okay? October 5th, 1999. On the back of the Star Wars episode, it was made October 5th, 1999. And I told that to my wife when I discovered it, and she went inside. She was like, well, now you can never get rid of it. I'm like, that's right. I can never get rid of this pinball machine now because it was made the day we were married, the exact day. So in my head, when I'm playing that machine, it's like, I don't know, it's cheesy, right? But I think it's cool. Yeah, so the Pinball 2000s are pretty rare, so I'm currently trying to gather as much information about it, so when I make this content, it can be kind of historical, let me tell you the story about these machines. The Star Wars Episode 1, they only made about 3,500 of them, and the Attack from Mars, they made about 6,000. So there's only 10,000 of these machines that were ever made, and they're really heavy, and they're very unique. If you ever get a chance at a pinball place to play them, you're playing a piece of history where it was the last machines that the Bally Williams company that made these pinball machines ever made. They made these machines and then they went out of business. And it was a controversial pinball machine because it mixed this world of a video game and a pinball machine where there's a computer, but also it kind of changed the industry because almost every pinball machine has some computing system in it now. A very different style than this Pinball 2000. But it's special to me because it's the very first pinball machine my daughter ever played was this Star Wars Episode 1 because she's such a big fan of the franchise. And so when I had the opportunity, I was on the look for one, and then this opportunity to be able to buy it in perfect condition, and he sold it to me at so low of a price. All the ones I found online are much more expensive, and they're not in great shape. And he told me after he delivered it to me, this is probably not something I'd put in the video, but he goes, I gave you a good deal. You know that, right? I'm like, yeah, I know. I looked. He's like, you saw how much these are worth, right? I'm like, yeah, I really appreciate your special deal that you gave me. He goes, yeah, it was touching when you came over with your daughter and how much she enjoyed it. So I gave you a really good deal because I knew it was going to go to a good home. I'm like, yeah, man, I'm going to take care of these. I'll take care of these. And so the dude was super nice. He's like, before he sold them to me and delivered them, he replaced all the caps on the motherboard. He reflowed the motherboard. If you're familiar with this guy went out of his way. He replaced the fans, the batteries, reflashed. He re-imaged both hard drives. He bought a new core for me that I have as a spare now, and he's given me, I think it's 6 replacement glass, that are tempered glass, special coating on it for film, because towards the end of it, to get that, if you look at the screen here, it's a hologram. It's kind of like this hologram. So if you don't know about it, this picture is at a very good angle. This is the CRT hanging upside down. When you're playing it, you can't see the CRT. What you see is this almost hologram down here. It's the reflection. Well, this all works because the glass has special film on it right over the here, but then it's lighter over the gameplay. So there's a lot of love that went into this, building this machine, and then the very special one that I have is in just fantastic condition. And he ends up being he's owned this for years, and he's an expert in. No, I don't plan on selling the extra glass. That's not my plan, but he told me to hold on to it, because if I ever need it. Anyway, super excited about it. I was playing it with my daughter. We were having such a good time. The machines are so good to play. Revenge from Mars is such a good game to play. It's not the Attack from Mars, but it is it's similar to Attack from Mars. And Attack from Mars is so much more expensive, and this is super rare. So I love the idea of collecting pinball machines. I'm willing to spend a little bit extra for it, because they do hold their value. And these, if you can get one in a really good shape like this, I don't really have to do much work to it. I can just enjoy it. And he replaced like all the rubber parts to it, and I don't know. I'm really happy. The bad guy, Mike Worley, says, in case you don't stream this week, early Merry Christmas. Appreciate that, man. I hope you guys have a fantastic week. Really appreciate everything. Molar the World Blaster belongs to his daughter. Yeah. Yeah, super excited. Let's see. Has anyone heard about the new Partycades? No, the only thing that we know that I've seen is the new NBA Jam one, which apparently doesn't have a light-up marquee. Yeah, I'm looking forward to. Look forward to hearing more about whatever Partycade comes out. I think if they keep their prices low, that would be really good, because the Partycade, one of the advantages of the Partycade is a 17-inch monitor, but the price is pretty cheap. $199, $200. We got a Defender Partycade that was just fantastic this last year, right? Anyway, so one final topic for the end of the show. We'll wrap it up around an hour 30. I think that's a pretty good time. We talked about this last week. A lot of people like that hour and 30 for the time. And I want to talk about Avatar 2. Stick around. This is actually interesting. Hit one in the chat if you've seen Avatar 2. Is that a movie that you plan on seeing? Are you going to wait for it to come out on streaming? I did see it. I'm not going to spoil it, but I'd like, if you'd want to stick around for a minute and hear generally what I think about the movie, I would love to share my thoughts with you guys for a few minutes. So I gave you a little break just in case. Just in case. I mean, if you didn't want to hear about it, you can leave. But here's my thoughts on Avatar 2. Ready? I think it was better than Avatar 1. It was really good. Like, the movie was... Dude, the movie was so good. I think there's going to be a lot of people saying this or that about it. It was great. It was a great movie. And I think there's going to be negativity about it related to, like, how well it did in the box office, like all of that. But I can't find anything wrong with the movie. It was just, like, the only thing you could say about it is it's long. But so is every James Cameron movie. I was in a chat with Michael B. the other day, and he was like, I'm not going to go see, I think he said it on Super Gamer Reviews, I'm not going to go see Avatar. And I'm like, why? Yeah, let's see. Critics were rough on it. I don't know. Like, I thought the story was great. Like, I came in raw, and it got me excited very quickly. I was invested in a new set of characters very quickly. I was surprised at all the people that were actually in it, the actors that were playing great. The storyline was great. It wasn't Pocahontas. Episode 1, Avatar 1 was basically Pocahontas. To me, this felt like a new story. Just a situation, there's drama, there was peace, and then there was war. And there was a good mixture of, like, the movie was really cool when they were talking about, they were having good times, right, with the family, and there's all these good things were happening, and it was beautiful. And then there was conflict, and the conflict would come in, and it was scary. And if you like James Cameron movies, like, it has elements of, in my opinion, Abyss. Some crazy scenes in Abyss are kind of echoed in Avatar 2. The best part of Abyss, I think, is kind of in Avatar 2. Terminator 2, scenes of Terminator 2 were reminiscent in this new one, in my opinion. Then you got Titanic. James Cameron's good in water. Like, there's scenes where you're like, wow, this is like Titanic. Like, but the good part of Titanic. What other James Cameron movie? And then Avatar, right? So it was kind of like all of those things where it felt like the best. It was like going to watch a greatest hits of what James Cameron is great at. You're going to watch a movie and you get to see, here's a segment where he's like, this is him doing his Titanic thing, and he's amazing at it. This is him underwater. This is him creating, you fell in love with the character and now they might die, underwater. They may drown, right? So it's like, alien elements too. Yeah, there was it was like, but not to the point where it felt like they were ripping them off. It was just, whoa. Yeah, the good part when Leo dies, now I'm intrigued. Yeah, no spoilers for Titanic. So, I think I'm an emotional person, but I don't typically like tear up in movies. But I got emotional in this movie like 3 times, but I think for a good reason. It was like, I didn't see it coming, and it was like, oh. But then there was 2 or 3 times where there was like kind of emotions, like almost tearing up, but out of excitement. It was just like, yes. It's like there was a couple scenes that were a little predictable, but it was like the payoff was worth it. You wanted it to happen. You're like, oh, come on, do it. You need to do it. And then they did it. And you're like, yes. Yeah, I mean, if you don't feel emotional watching Avatar 2 in the scenes that got emotional, yeah, like, I think as a human, that is just well-rounded, like, you should have some sense of emotion in these movies. Unless you're just hating the movie and you're bored and you're falling asleep, I guess. But, like, I was paying attention, and I was locked into the characters. And I really enjoyed it. I saw it with my daughter. My wife didn't come. She was like, no, it's 3 hours. I'd rather just watch it at home. I was like, okay, we'll watch it. She's seen Avatar 1 a million times because she loves Riff Jacks, the Mystery Science Theater 3000 guys. And so we have that Avatar 1 with... So she's excited about if the Riff Track guys do Avatar 2. Yeah. I think it was a great movie. So I do recommend... Not everyone's going to love the movie. I don't think you have to be a fan of Avatar 1 to like Avatar 2, because what it has in common, like Avatar 1 is kind of like this, it has a lot of setup. There's a lot of like, it has to explain to you how they're doing the avatars. They don't need to do this in this movie because it kind of like they skip all that, right? So it just happens. And so there's plenty of content. I mean, I think it's a good value. Yeah. Riff Jacks in our house every day. There's not one day that goes by that there's not a Riff Track in our house, by the way. Pluto TV has a Riff Track channel. If you don't know about it, install this app, Pluto TV. It's called a fast service. It's a free service that's based on advertisement, so it just has commercials. Pluto TV. Pluto TV is an app you can install on your Roku or your Apple TV, and they have a Mystery Science Theater 3000 channel, and that's just 24/7 Mystery Science Theater 3000, and they have RiffTrax channel. And in the chat, if you're a RiffTrax fan, I'd love to hear your favorite RiffTrax movie, and I'll tell you mine in just a second. Let's see, RiffTrax, the best one, hands down, the best RiffTrax. So if you don't familiar with RiffTrax, basically, it's comedians talking over movies, like Mystery Science Theater 3000, if you remember that. Yeah, Pluto TV's the best. It's pretty good. It's a free service. The ads aren't too bad. And so Avatar 1, you won't get Avatar 1 on Pluto TV because they don't have any of movies that are big blockbusters like that. But if you go to rifftrax.com, you can download the audio and you can sync it with an app. Let's see. So RiffTrax, the best RiffTrax out there is Birdemic. Yeah, I'll just say it. Birdemic is the best RiffTrax. It is so... The movie is literally the worst movie of all time. And we probably once a month we watch Birdemic. We just watched it the other day. Birdemic is great. Doctor Who is my favorite. I have Avatar 3D on Blu-ray. Guess I could watch it again. There you go. Anyway, so that is my live stream for this Sunday. I hope you enjoyed it. And if this is the first time you are here, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. And yeah, we'll see you guys. I don't know. Hit one in the chat if I should stream next Sunday. I mean, I can stream next Sunday, but I assume no one will want to join because isn't next Sunday Christmas Day? But I got nothing going on. Big AD's like, I'll watch a stream on Christmas Day, no problem. But you're like, no. Yeah, we got some few people. You can come hang out with me on Christmas. Stream from your dinner table. Anyway, if no stream, Merry Christmas to you all, Andy says. I'll be lit and probably passed out, but go for it. No, you should definitely join. You should call in is what you should do. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I hope you guys have a good rest of the week. If you have time off, I hope you have time off. Send it with your family. Give them a big hug for me. Say Console Kit said hello. And then your family will be like, who are you talking about? Yeah, it's just this YouTube guy I watch. He's weird. He said to say hello to you, so he's a weird guy. So say that. And we'll see you guys next time. Take care. Oh, 19K Fox is on later today. And he was telling me his show notes. He's going to get controversial. You tell him that I sent you, and you tell him that Justin really thinks that the monitor's good. And he's wrong about the monitor. He's wrong about the monitor, according to the specs. But he's going to tell you all about how the monitor is going to be horrible. Just wait. Just, show him some love, too. All right, see you guys. Oh, wait, check my messages. I'm checking my messages. All right, see you guys. Take care.